Redding is a beautiful place. We have national parks in 3 different directions, 2 world-class lakes. This is a sportsman's paradise, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is allredding.
So I haven't planned any of this at all because I just wanted to come have an authentic conversation with you.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten to listen to you tell your story a couple times, but I like the idea of getting to sit down and hearing more about you. So to our listeners, this is Mr. Adam Schwartz.
Yeah.
The way I know you is more the real estate community, right? And if we're honest, I'm like, this guy's a hustler and a beast. Like, I don't know if he wants to talk to me. So it's interesting. Then I've also got to see this other side through Leadership Redding, where we visited the mission and then hear more about your story. So I really wanted to share your story because I think what makes a city beautiful is its people. And you're giving back and doing so much. So I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Well, thanks for asking me to be on here. I mean, I think it's always a privilege to share what God's done in my life, and it's been quite the ride. And you know me from the real estate world. And so you're well established and people, you've been around for a little while. So it's cool to have someone like you give me props. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought maybe we'd start actually with that side of things. So real estate, how long have you been in the industry now?
So just about 7 years.
Okay.
So just under 7 years. 2019.
Okay.
Beginning of 2019 was when I got my license.
We're only a year apart. I was a year before you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I would have never known that. I thought you were like, OG.
Long time before that. That's just because I'm old, Adam. It's all right. No. So I was like a year before you. Like April of 2018 is like when I started.
Cool.
So you and I have been through the roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what got you into real estate?
Yeah, great question. So I was working in the restaurant industry, and I bought my first house, and I lived there for about a year, and then we'll get into this a little later, but my mom passed away, and we got a little bit of money from when she passed away, and my wife at the time, we decided to buy a second house and turn our first house into a sober living.
Okay.
So I'd been sober about 5 years at the time and wanted to kind of get back. And
wow.
So bought my second house. And then about a year later, this house right down the road from my first house, the sober living, came up for sale and it needed a ton of work. And I went to someone in town that had done my loan and I said, hey man, I really want to buy this house. And he said, you can't buy the house.
Can't buy that house.
So what do you mean? He's like, well, you don't make enough money. Like, you just bought a house. Like, the house needs a lot of work. Like, it won't even qualify for a loan.
I don't think you're somebody who takes a no.
And, well, I didn't want it. So I was like, well, what? And he's like, and he kind of told me about how there's, how the flip market works and how buying fixers and how you need a lot of capital, basically, or a good amount of capital, and a little more established credit than I had at the time. I was still building from burning everything down. And anyway, so that didn't work out, but it got me interested in real estate. And I'd been in the restaurant industry for about 5 or 6 years. And I started doing the math and I was like, hey, like my realtor, super cool guy, he was retired now, moved to Texas, but was super cool. And I started kind of looking into it. And so I went back to the lender and I said, hey, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. And he knew my story, my background. He's like, you might have a little trouble. You might have a little trouble, but, go for it. And so I started that journey and so I've been running.
But you haven't looked back. So I think what's fascinating is one of the reasons too I've gotten to know you is from the core coaching world, right? Which not all of us in real estate or lending or know about or part of, but I've been a part of it. You're still very involved.
Yes.
And I'm kind of, but from the other side, Todd Screama, obviously I do next level now, right? Same thing. What made you, because it's not like you're just in real estate. There's a lot of agents. A lot of them do 1 to 2, 3 to 4. How many transactions are you going to close this year?
We're shooting for 70.
That's
70 is the goal right now.
And especially in this market right now. What made you then get involved in coaching? Or when was that moment when you're like, I'm not going to just do this. I'm going to do this and I'm pretty good at this?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question. It's not like a quick answer. So
That's okay.
what got me into coaching was ever since I turned my life around, I've always had mentors and people in my life to kind of show me the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so
on purpose, or did
on
you
purpose. Well, first I was told I had to.
Okay. And
I was told, hey, you need these people.
More.
Yeah, you need these people. This is a requirement for you to not go back to jail.
Right.
And then once I got into real estate, so I was actually under someone that's here locally, who's a great guy, Dan. We're actually in his brother's studio. But anyway, so Dan, I love Dan. So Dan took me under his wing for the first 2.5, almost 3 years. And I learned from him like the ins and outs of the business, right?
Right.
And then I got to a point to where I told Dan, I said, hey, I really want to go out on my own. And he was really supportive.
That's awesome.
We're still really good friends to this day. But as soon as I went out on my own, I reached out to the lender that got me in the business and I said, hey man, I'm going out on my own. What should I do? And he said, you need to get in the core. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I knew a little bit about the core because he already had me doing the greatness trackers and the forms and kind of tracking all my stuff, And so I interviewed with the core and I got in and I went to a summit and I signed up and I've basically been in coaching for the last 4 years, and a lot of people have asked me along the way, why are you in coaching? You don't really need it. You do so well. Like, I don't think you really need coaching. You're super motivated.
What people are saying that to you? Who?
Other realtors. Other realtors mainly.
It's intriguing who the voices are in our life, right?
Yeah. Now, and most of them, though, don't understand. Most of them, I don't think, have the... I'm okay being told what to do.
Okay.
I like being under authority. Mm-hmm. I'm okay being under authority. Mm-hmm. I've been being told what to do for a long time,
Well, and if it's a good thing to do.
It's a good thing. And I love being taught by someone who has a lot more experience than me. Yeah. So I have like a mentor for, like my walk with God, mm-hmm. for my sobriety, mm-hmm. for my business, mm-hmm. for, relationships, for all that stuff. So I like to find
I resonate with that. I have a spiritual mentor of 25 years, talk to her every Tuesday, right? I'm in coaching like you. Like, why wouldn't you want some accountability? Yeah. Especially we're in careers where it's like, I don't know about you, I'm my own worst employee. So it's like, who's going to tell me what to do? I need someone that I have to turn on every week and go, okay, I did or didn't show up, right?
So I don't struggle with that as much. I'm probably a workaholic, but back to what got me into coaching and why am I so successful is, so I come from a very poverty childhood, right? We were in poverty. There was drug addiction. There was a lot of struggles growing up. And so deep down, and I shared on this a little bit at the thing last week with Leadership Reading, deep down, a part of me feels like I don't really belong. Yeah. Like there's all these business professionals, all these people that come from these different lifestyles and walks of lives and these good backgrounds, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so a part of me feels like I have to prove to everybody that I actually belong to be in the same room as you. And so that's part of my mindset of why I always want to outwork the next person and why I want to strive to do better. I don't know. Right now, I'm okay at not going away.
Right. Not that fueling your fire.
Not that I feel that I'm better than anyone, but I just want to prove to everybody that I belong. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it keeps me, it's a chip on my shoulder. I got a chip on my shoulder. Tom Brady had a chip on his shoulder. Michael Jordan had, a lot of the greats in their industry had chips on his shoulder. Now, I'm not saying I'm like them, but that's the mindset I'm okay with, is I want to show up and prove it. And so my coach, because I have struggled with not wanting to come into the office a couple times, time to time. And so I have accountability even in my own office. So my team, if I don't do all my calls and do all my checklists that we have throughout the week, I have to give them money at the end of the week.
You don't want to do that.
So, I don't like to do that, but they like it because then they hold me accountable. And then if I don't do it, then, and we use it for lunches and fun stuff like that. But it's cool. So.
I think the other thing people don't know about the coaching that you and I do is the transparency that it takes too. I was telling someone the other day that since I've gotten back into coaching, that first meeting where you jump on this call and it's usually with 3 new people or people you don't know, maybe you know one, right? And all of a sudden you're like, here's my net worth. Yeah. Let me turn that in front of some people. there's something to be said about that transparency that has to be had. It's very like, here's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it's not just go ahead. Yeah.
I was saying for me, being newer in the coaching and newer in real estate and not really having anything before I got on it, I'm always the brokest guy. Like I do well for Redding. Like I do, you know,
I know they compare us to people everywhere. And
I've been blessed with a good business, but like when you hop on a call when, you know, there's agents doing 10 deals a month and their average sell price is $1 million and you're just looking at them like, good for you, man.
Right.
Good for you.
Right.
Like
what I have to tell myself, and I would love to hear your take on this is, but then I'd have to go live wherever that is.
oh yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
And I forget.
Okay, a part of me kind of wants to do that sometimes, but
Well, can I just come down and do one deal and go home? Yeah, right. Or like go down there, do my deals, and like come home. Like
not even that. I wouldn't mind the big city. I'm still young. I didn't really have a childhood. Like there was just a lot of trouble, you know? So like now it's like, hey, I'm doing well in life. I got a couple things going for me. I could see myself having fun in like
doing that for a little while.
Big city.
So then what does make you stay in Redding so far?
Well, so I love Redding is such a home to me. So I mean, when I moved to Redding, it was 2004 and I was in high school. And
so you didn't grow up here? Oh,
no.
Okay.
No, we moved around a lot. My parents did a lot of what we call geographicals.
Geographicals.
So there would always be problems.
Okay.
And to solve those, we would move.
Okay.
And then after living in the new place for a while, we'd have the same problems. And so then we'd move again.
Gotcha.
You know, so it'd be things like getting evicted or the rents, you know, the power's getting shut off or the car's getting repoed or, you know, we lost a job or whatever. You know, we had a lot of that kind of stuff going on growing up. So, anyway.
So 04, you came to Redding.
2004, I came to Redding.
Okay. Okay. So
And
Redding raised you a little bit. Because how old were you in 04?
Sophomore.
Okay.
Whatever that is, 17, 16, 17, somewhere in there.
Which is probably like the stuff that you remember a lot of. Yeah. So we've alluded to some stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we get into that? Because it's hard. It's hard not to dig. It's hard. It's hard not to get into that. So
and part of me is like I've watched you tell your story, and you're so humble, and I'm like, it's kind of cool to be like, this is where I am, and then like, okay, but what got you here? And so tell your story. Where do you want to start?
So I'll start. So I was born in June 1980. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, not there.
So I grew up. I was born in South Dakota though. So little town here on South Dakota, and lived there till I was 10. My biological dad, he was an abusive alcoholic, and so my mom left him when I was probably 9 and got with my stepdad, and he kind of rescued us. I have an older brother. He's a couple years older than me, and he kind of got us out of that environment, the abusive, you know, environment, and we moved out here to Mount Shasta. We actually moved up to Mount Shasta, stayed up there for a year, lived in Castella for a year.
Do you have any idea what made them choose? I mean,
I have an uncle in Mount Shasta who owned a plumbing company, and they invited us, hey, come out, have fun. You can stay on, you know, And of course, that didn't go well after a couple months because our family had some stuff, you know, we got issues, you know. Anyway, so we moved back to South Dakota, but to Rapid City where Sioux Falls is. And so now I'm in middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade. I already know what like smoking weed and drinking is because we were just in California, right? So like South Dakota weed is like sticks and stems and brick weed you get from Mexico, okay? Like California is like nice, fluffy.
Wait, in South Dakota you get it from Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then you got to pick the seeds. Anyway, not to get into all that, but it was totally different lifestyle. But that's so. As soon as we moved again,
you're young at this time.
It's like my third middle school, second or third middle school. By the time I'm in 6th grade, going into 7th.
Wow.
And so I immediately find the people that like to party because I mean, it was just kind of what we did as a family.
Yeah.
And we ended up, you know, just kind of partying a little bit. But by the time I was a sophomore, I've been partying a lot, and I'd already experimented with some powders, you know, with some crank and some crystal meth. And then,
would you say gateway drugs is a real thing? I mean, is that like what you think?
So I don't know if gateway is a good way to say that, but I'm not against it. What I would say is I guarantee most of the people that struggle with harder drugs probably started with smoking weed and drinking.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know very many people that just went to smoke crack. You know what I mean? Like,
Just going all the way there. Right.
nope, I'm got clean slate. Oh, there's some crack. I'm gonna go try that. Like, that's normally not how it goes, right?
Right.
But just because you smoke weed or drink doesn't mean you're gonna do those things.
Right.
So that's where I think the gateway thing I don't always agree with. I think it can lead to other stuff.
Right.
But just because you do that doesn't mean you're gonna, be shooting heroin. Like, it's not.
Right. That's
But
fair.
for me, though, it was
It
a
went that
reality.
way. Yeah.
So by the time I'm in my early teens, we're in that world, and we start, my parents, we were getting evicted and the power's getting shut off. And, some guys moved into our house that had a suitcase full of crank, and they said, hey, go out and try to pay the bills. And so we were going out with, baggies trying to pay. And I'm 13 years old, and and we never paid the bills, by the way.
I would imagine.
Like, they never got paid.
I would
we
imagine.
just, it was just, you just found a way to not get evicted.
Well, and I'm hearing this story. It's like you were rescued from one life, but then you were put into another. So it's like, it's just interesting to hear you say, like, he rescued us from that. And then you're like, wow, but now
exactly.
you head down this trail. And so you're going out and selling that, but it's probably not going back to the things it's supposed to.
It went back to getting more.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of our lifestyle from there on out, right? Like, then as we started we had to move again, because that was obviously anyway, it just starts going bad. And so we had to move. So we ended up moving to Southern California. And so we got out of the sales and the powders and all that stuff. And we cleaned up. My dad, he had gotten some trouble in down in Southern California, and so he had to be on probation. And so he's not doing anything. He's not drinking. He's not smoking. He's miserable. He's irritable. Does not like life.
Okay.
And me and my brother, we're like teenagers wanting to party in LA. We only lived there for a couple months. We ended up moving back up here to Redding.
Okay.
And so that's 2004. And so this is where I'll kind of get into more, try to fast forward. So 2004, we move up here, start going to school out here. Find that same crowd of people. I find them really easily.
You find what you look for, right?
Yeah, which is all the people that like wanted to party.
Yeah.
And I remember though, I always wanted to play football. And so I tried out for football, and I was doing like their practices and all that stuff. And then they came in one day and they wanted to drug test everybody. And I quit football because there was no way. I was like, I ain't getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I quit football. And that was the same year that school went and won the championship. So I would have been on that team if I could have made it. But anyway,
and never in there was a moment like, maybe I should stop this for you.
No, not at all. No, I just didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to. So I'm the new kid. I've been going to, for a couple months. And then my mom, she was already on disability. She had a surgery. It didn't go well. And so she was disabled from that. And then my dad, he was a Marine, and he didn't like going to the doctor. And he refused to go for like months. And then finally we had to take him to the emergency room, and they had to amputate half his foot. And so he couldn't work no more. My mom couldn't work. And me and my brother dropped out of high school to start working to pay the bills. And then I also, after school, would go and pay the bills. And they were prescribed oxys and fentanyl patches and Valiums and Norcos. And one of the guys at school that I was hanging out with was like, what? He said, dude, you can sell those. And I already had a little bit of sales experience from what we were doing in South Dakota. And I said,
sales experience.
I said, really? And so then it just started that whole whirlwind again. And it was really a lifestyle. So we talk a lot about identity, like where's your identity found? So like today I have an identity in Christ. Like I know who I am. Back then it was, I didn't want to go to school if I didn't have something. Like I always wanted
who has what everybody wants.
Exactly.
When you show up. Yeah.
Exactly. And all of a sudden I'm invited to all the parties and doing all this stuff.
Much better to have the house that they want.
I love it. Yes. Yeah. So that was so it all, and it goes good for a while, and then we burn it all down. I start getting in trouble with the laws. I'm on the run.
Your parents know that that's what you're doing, and you're taking their stuff.
Oh, they were with it. They were
They're like, this is great. You're making money.
They were giving, it was a family business.
Yeah.
So they knew what we were doing, and they knew, hey, if we want to pay the bills and we want to do this stuff, like, and then it transformed into worse thing. It would always just kind of get worse. Like it always ended up getting worse. So we ended up getting, into powders again and doing all kinds of it. And I mean, I've done everything from smoking weed to shooting heroin with my parents, Like it was, and that was just the lifestyle we lived. But that was normal for us. Like that was always normal. I mean, I remember for Christmas, in school, like them asking, do you want to get school clothes or do you want to go re-up? Do you want to get Christmas presents or do you want to get more? Like that's what was offered. That was the lifestyle. And so we always wanted more. Like we weren't even really going to school.
You probably didn't care about that. Yeah. At any point in all these journeys, like now here you're in school for running. I mean, you're here for a couple of years at this point, I would imagine.
I got kicked out in my first year.
Did you? Did you just not go back?
Well, they kind of knew I was bringing stuff to the school, but they never caught me, and they basically kicked me out and said, we don't want you here. So
I always just wonder, so like you had friends, you probably went to their houses. Like was there anyone who like saw young Adam and was like, hey, what's going on with that kid? I know there was a lot of parents that didn't want me around their kids. Yeah. Yeah. That's the quickest thing as a parent to do, right? Instead of ask questions or be curious.
So I don't know about anyone trying to, but I kind of brought this up before, is in the mindset I was, in the lifestyle I was living in, like you could have came and said, Adam, I don't know what's going on, but I'm here to help. I want to help you with whatever's going on. Yeah. I probably wouldn't have listened. Yeah. I probably would have been like, oh, cool, thanks. Like,
whatever, I'm fine. Everything's great.
What is wrong with her? Yeah. Why is she worrying about my life?
Go do your own thing, lady. Well, and like also like, I always just wonder, like, what if it would have, could someone have come in earlier? Like, where would that have been that moment?
That's that's a great question. And I think there were people, like I had aunts and uncles and family members that I think tried to step in. Yeah. But we moved halfway across the country, right? Because we were living in South Dakota and then we moved here. And there was always teachers and coaches. Like there's people that want to help. Yeah. But I also think there's only so much you can do, right? If the family doesn't, until the law steps in, until there's legal action, like there's really, I think there's limited amounts of what you can do. But I would say definitely if you see something, try to help, ask if they need help, ask what's going on, get involved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. So, okay, I don't want to stop the progression.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so I just want to, it's always intriguing to me. Like I've helped start mentoring organizations, or you're like, where do I give back? Or I see that you give back at the mission now, right? Because that service, and it's like, I think a lot of us are like, how do I help this stop sooner? And I think, Adam, like your story is not the norm. I think we know that. That's why it's it's such a story, right? Yeah. So it's like, gosh, though, but how do we serve more people and help that be more of the stories, and even younger, So.
Well, so what I'll say is I didn't want to change till the consequences got bad enough. Yeah. And so I was totally comfortable. I really didn't even have a guilty conscience over what I was doing. And I mean, we were doing some pretty bad things.
I feel like that kind of goes away. The more you do bad, like the more you'll find to do bad. And
and who you hang out, it's normal. It was normal. Like it wasn't, I mean, I guess deep down, it's not right. Right. But it was just kind of the lifestyle we lived. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I had morals, right? Like I wouldn't, I even caught myself in a lie, because when we were telling it, I'm like, I wouldn't come rob your house. I said, well, that's not true either. But like for the most part, I felt it was okay to, like if it was a store, like you see people running out of Walmart or Safeway or that, like to me, that was acceptable. Okay. But like I wouldn't, go into your house and want to steal your stuff, which at the end, that was also acceptable. Just so you know, like I'm like the bar always went lower. Yeah. Right?
That's why I think like, even like when we talk about, you're like, I don't know about gateway drug, but it's like, but you're opening the door to the possibility. Yeah. Is why I think they call it a gateway. You know what I mean? Like, but you could go that way, but you might not, but you might. Yeah. And so same thing. It's like the more you let go of that thing inside of us that I think it's like Imago Dei, like the image of God, right? The more we just like damper it, it's like you're going to find that even your ethical code
it changes. It lowers with my standard of living, right. The lower my standard, as I lose the house and the car and the girlfriend and the this and the that, then my ethics and my morals and values go lower too, because now I'm just trying to survive.
And what an extreme, right? We went from my coaching is like transparent and I'm doing these things and I let everyone hold me accountable. Yeah. Right. And then over here, it was just like lower and lower and lower.
Yeah. Nobody could hold me accountable.
No, nobody.
Until the law did. Until
Sounds
the
like
law.
you couldn't even, right? You're like, I have this standard. Oh, not really.
Yeah.
Not even to yourself,
No.
So one day it did get strong enough, though.
So one day, so that's what I was going to say. So part of the story is the trouble, right? Like you hit a rock bottom, like something happens. So I end up getting, I won't get into all the details, but I end up getting arrested. And I go to jail, and I'm like hurt. I'm going through withdrawals, and I'm like dying. Like this is my first time in jail. I'm 20 years old. I'm scared. Think I'm going to prison.
You're a baby.
20. I didn't even have facial hair yet. Like I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I'm going through some really, really bad withdrawals, and like I can't eat. I can't do anything. And I remember praying, and I was like, God, if you just get me out of this. Like me and my mom will move back to South Dakota.
If you were praying or wheeling and dealing.
I was making a deal with God. Okay, I was making a deal. I've always been a deal maker. I was making a deal with God. So I said, God, if you get me out of this, we'll go back to South Dakota. My aunt.
So you
uncle.
had a form of God. You had an idea.
Yeah, I went to Sunday school a couple times growing up, and my aunt and uncle, I love them to death. We'd go stay with them on the farm, for a week every year they go to church every Sunday. Catholics, church, we'd always go have dinner or lunch at Perkins afterwards or whatever,
They're like, all right, I'm going to talk to this guy.
I'm telling God, hey, get me out of here, and I promise I will move back, and we'll go back there. We'll live on the farm. I'll go to church. I'll be a good boy.
Yeah.
I end up getting out 2 weeks later, just as I'm starting not to be sick, right? But I still don't have a solution for my thinking because my way of life is still broken. And I had a needle in my arm in 30 minutes.
Yeah, you also had like no frame of like where to go, who to talk to. What do I do different?
No, I didn't. No. I remember as soon as I got out, the guy I called, hey, I come pick me up. Make sure you bring the thing.
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
That leads to a question I've thought of a few times when talking to you. In my family history, a lot of this is in my family history. Yeah. The thing I've noticed is sometimes when those are your friends or those are the people you look around to. Remember, it used to be Shasta County mugshots, right?
Yeah.
And what I'd notice is when I'd see a certain family member jump back on and looking on there, I'm like, oh, his brain's going back to looking for his people. And so for you to have stayed in Redding, it's kind of interesting. You've been able to do that and maintain. What do you think? What do you think that is for you that you've been able to do that? Yeah.
So after I got out the jail the second time, I went to the mission, the Good News Rescue Mission here in town, and now it's 12 months. You do a 6-month, 12-month, or 18-month program. So when I was mandated there by the courts, it was 18 months. And so although I lived in Redding, I lived at a place where it was surrounded by other people in recovery, other people trying to get their life together. We had mentors that would come in and teach us the Bible. They would have us go to 12-step meetings. And so I really created this new life and this new support group, a new family. Like I have a family now in recovery that I never thought was possible. So that was really the difference. Is I was in a place. Well, I was in jail for 30 days, which got everything out of my system.
Yeah.
And then I went right into a facility where it was.
When you got clean, were you like? Because you said the first time you got out, and 30 minutes later, you're like, let's just go.
Yeah.
So now you're in jail 30 days, and you say like it got out of my system. Was there a moment where you're like, I don't want to put it back in and start over?
So my girlfriend at the time picked me up, and she had 2 loaded syringes, one for her and one for me.
Yeah.
And I told her no. And the only thing I can think of is it was God.
Yeah.
Because everything in my whole life up until that point, it makes me emotional thinking about it. I would have done it in a heartbeat.
Had you made that same, had you started talking to God about it again this time?
Yeah. No. Okay. So yes. So
okay.
Defining moment.
Yeah.
I'm in jail. And I've been in there a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. This is the second time?
Second time. And I called my girlfriend at the time, and she told me that my mom was in the ICU. She had overdosed. She was in the ICU, and she was on life support, and they didn't know if she was going to make it. And this wasn't the first time that it happened. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time that happened. And I was in, and I didn't know if I was getting out, and I had some charges I was facing, and so I didn't know, was I going to prison for a few years, like what was going to happen. And I broke down and I went up into my cell, and one of the inmates came and talked to me, and I told him what was going on. And he said, you know, you can say this prayer and God will be with you. He said, you know, and he told me about the sinner's prayer. And I said, I don't know nothing about that, man. That's not me. He's like, well, you can say this prayer and God will be with you. And I was like, all right, cool. So we said the prayer.
Yeah.
And he handed me a Bible. And he wrote in it Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth, right?
I remember that one. Yeah.
And then he gave me some Bible verses, like some Romans when I acted like a child, whatever, you know, I can't remember. But anyway, so he gave me some verses to do. That was the moment. That was the moment.
Do you know this guy anymore? Have you ever seen him before or since?
I know his name, but I haven't seen him since.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And he was an old timer. But that was.
Did you know it in that moment, or like now you know it was a moment?
No, I didn't know it in that moment. I just did what I was told.
Yeah, but then you got out.
I surrendered.
You got out a few weeks later and told her no.
I told her no. I said no, and I went into the program, and I stayed there for a couple months. And when I first went in, I had no desire to change. I wasn't going to change. I just wanted the consequences to stop. That makes sense. I didn't want to go to prison.
You told her no, but then you're like, I don't want to change.
Yeah.
You still had some mindset shift that needed to happen.
I'm telling you, that was God. Like, that's the only thing I can think of is he was like, hey, man, like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I had 30 days at the time. That was the most time I had since I was 12 years old.
And I laughed. So this is when you went into the 18 months. And I remember you saying, that was a bit excessive. Whatever.
I was. At the time, I thought it was excessive. You know, I'm like, man, like, couldn't give me like a 6-month program or a 90-day program. They said, we want you to go to 18 months. Like, it's a little excessive, don't you think? But the judge, so probation, because I was repeat offender. I was in and out. Like, I was in trouble all the time, on the run, you know, never doing what I was supposed to do. And so the judge asked probation, you know, should we send him to prison or should we give him a program? They said, send me to prison. He asked the DA. The DA said, send him to prison.
Wow.
And I told the judge, I said, listen, I've been doing this since I was 12. I said, you send me to prison, I'm probably going to get worse. You were
probably right.
You send me to this program, and I think I have a chance to change my life.
But in the back of your head, you're like, but I don't really want to change.
I don't know. It was.
You were in the middle.
A part of me wanted to change, but a part of me didn't. You know, I really can't. You're the first person that's ever said that, and I've had to think about it. So like, parts of me didn't want to change because I was so used to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But something changed in me.
Yeah.
That I did change.
I was listening to, do you ever listen to Erwin McManus? Mm-hmm. I'll send you the podcast after. I was listening to him and Ed Milet this morning, and he's a pastor out of SoCal, and something he said just really stuck with me all day, and it's kind of like this. He said, the most spiritual thing you can do is choose. Mm-hmm. And I think something you've said is so true, where it's like a lot of times we choose because of pain. You were like, the punishment's going to be so bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose different. But then also, like, when we choose good, I think it's so less often that we choose good just to choose good, right? Instead of just pain. But there was something in you warring.
Yeah.
It was very spiritual that you're like, no, let me do it.
Yeah.
Or I'm never going to change.
That's so crazy. So, but the judge said, hey, I'm going to give you one shot. You can go do this program.
Everybody else said, don't give this guy a shot.
No more shots. But he said, I'll give you one chance. You go do it and you're good. And then you
were a
get off
salesman
probation.
even then at that moment.
I guess. And so, but I got out and I went to the mission, and and there was people there that had been in and out of prison their whole life, that had been dealing drugs their whole life. And I had seen the change in them.
Yeah. Did you want that? Did you want that change? Like, you saw that change in them.
A part of me wanted it.
Yeah, I think there's still
attraction. There was an attraction to seeing, not having to, because don't get me wrong. Like, while I was out there, I was in sales for a long time before I got into real estate.
You were pharmaceuticals.
But yes. Anyway, backup job, pharmaceutical rep. No,
pharmaceutical rep done.
But there was a sense of peace and serenity, and knowing I wasn't chasing anything, I wasn't after anything, I wasn't having to hustle to not be sick.
Watch your back.
Yeah.
Didn't you say you said that too? I think the other day, like, I was sick all the time.
I was trying not to be sick because when you're addicted to opiates or anything, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have it in your system after a short period of
get
time, you
sick.
start getting dope sick. Same with alcoholics, right?
Right.
Alcoholics, you get 6 hours and you start getting shaky. You know, and so it was a lot of time. It was just not trying to be sick. But anyway, so I get out of that. I go to the mission and I buy in and I
Is this girlfriend supportive? I mean,
she's out of the picture.
Showed
now.
up with She's
out of the picture.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's complicated story, but out of the picture now. I'm just focusing on myself.
Yeah.
I decided to go back to school, get my high school diploma. So I go back to the adult school.
Okay.
And so I was the first guy at the program ever to go back and get the actual high school diploma.
So they're not just giving you how to stop; they're giving you what to do. Because I think a lot of times you didn't know what to do next.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you go back, get your diploma.
Get my diploma, and then it just kind of it's like a snowball effect. As long as I don't burn my life to the ground, because I can do it very quickly, I just continue to grow. And so it was graduating high school, I was in the program. Yeah. Then graduating the program, getting back into work. Then it was working my way up the chain at the restaurant, right? So from dishwasher to, prep cook, busser, server, manager, and then about 7 years ago, got into real estate. Right. And here's another reason why I take my real estate license so serious, and I think I work really hard, okay? Yeah. I got in a lot of trouble back when I was running and gunning.
Yeah, sounds like.
And they make you write down all of your charges when you apply to get your real estate license. And I had to print out like 4 extra pages to get everything on there.
At that moment, did that feel...
It was a little defeating. I actually had to call the counties to get all the information, and I found out I actually had more charges than I remembered. And so then I had to write more down.
And there's a whole process to become a realtor, Chaz. I'm thinking about this because I had my real estate license for a while. It's like you have to do all this studying, all these hours, and then you get to go for the test. Had you already done all the work? And
so I did all the schooling while I was still working in the restaurant.
Okay.
Go down, I take the test, I pass the test, and now
They let you get that far. They're not like, hey, we're just not going to make you do all that work. You can't get in.
Exactly. I did all the schooling, and then I submitted my application and the paperwork to take your test at the same time. Like I just did them together.
Yeah.
And so when I went down to take my test and I passed, they gave me the little sheet. Congratulations, you're passed. We're reviewing your background.
So it's like this joyful moment and not.
I mean, it was still joyful. I didn't know what was to come. I didn't know what that meant. I thought I was good because I'd been sober 7 years. I was off probation. Like I'm doing good. I got a sober living.
Right.
Like
We're
doing
done with
good.
the consequence. We're done with let's go.
Yeah, I thought I was good. And it took him 6 months to get someone assigned to me, and then for him to look up all my information. And then, it was super funny. So he calls me and he says, Ms. Schwartz, it looks like you withheld some charges on your thing when you applied. And I was like, what do you mean?
You're like, I gave you 4 pages. Like I wasn't trying to withhold.
I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, there was 3 misdemeanors for failure to appears in Tehama County for speeding tickets. And I said, no, man.
I'm thinking that was probably the least of your...
Exactly.
You're like, that's what you're worried about?
That's what I told him. I said, well, I disclosed my gun charge and my DUIs and all my other felonies and stuff.
Could have been gotten by anyone.
So anyway, so it was funny. So then he looked into it. Then 6 months later, they assigned me an actual investigator.
Okay.
I go interview with him. He's got a table like this we're in front of, and it's got all my paperwork.
This would feel like showing everybody my personal budget, Yeah, okay, here we go again.
But in the meantime, I had about 14 people in Redding write me character reference letters. I mean, I'm talking probation officers, judges,
just turn it around,
realtors, brokers, church people.
How many years are we clean?
7 years. 7 years.
Yeah,
7 years.
Got the track record at this time.
And I wrote out a testimony of kind of where I was at in my life. And he literally, I sat down and he looks at me and he says, what makes you think we're going to give you a real estate license?
Oh.
And I told him, I said, everything you see on that table, I said, it's all true. I said, there's actually a lot more. I just didn't get caught. I said, but that right there, that's who I am today. Yeah. I said, that testimony, those letters, I said, that's who I am today. So that's why I think you should give me a license. And we had the coolest conversation. Because he did juvenile probation, adult probation, and all the kids had parents that were in trouble. And when he did adult probation, all the kids he did. We're now on adult probation. So he knew the lifestyle I came from, and he knew how rare it was to see someone get out of it.
Yeah, it's really rare.
And he said he'd make a recommendation, but that he, that's all he gets. And I said, well, is there anything I can do? And he said, I'd go get everything expunged. So I hadn't done that yet. I had no reason to get it expunged. It was just, it was all old.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. So I went back. I literally went and got everything expunged. And then another 6 months later, I get a call from now the attorney.
Okay.
That's representing the Department of Real Estate. And he says, Mr. Schwartz, we're denying your license. You have 2 weeks to appeal it. If you're going to appeal it, you got to send us all this paperwork.
Done.
And I'm just broken. I'm heartbroken. And I was going to a Bible study at the time during this, and we just started Genesis, which if you know anything about Genesis, they wait a long time for things in Genesis. Years and years, 40 years.
We're lazy in our hope, huh?
So a long time. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, man, it's been 6 months. It's been 3 months. It's been a year, but we're reading about these guys that had to wait 40 years or 60.
I have a painting in I just bought it on vacation. I have a painting I have like a prayer chair and a prayer area for in the morning, And this painting is of this guy looking at the star, like Jesus is here, and just it's a shepherd out in the field, and his hands are raised. And what struck me about it is like, I get mad about waiting 6 months. They waited thousands of years for the Savior to come.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm thinking about myself, my career, what I got to do, anyway, so they deny me. I appeal it. Some people in the community that are always looking out for me referred an attorney that said she'd take me on pro bono. We met, we did all the paperwork. I sent it down, and it was super cool. So on the rehabilitation thing for becoming a realtor, there's like 10, I don't know how many, but we'll just say there was 10 items. Now, because I had been sober 7 years, 8 of the 10 I'd already done. Off probation early, paid all my fines, blah, 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 blah. But there was 2 things I knew I hadn't done. I didn't submit a letter with all the paperwork from someone I had made financial amends to. So that's what they wanted to see. And they wanted a letter from a psychiatrist saying I'd been rehabilitated. Apparently the 15 other people and the judges. But anyway.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a family that owns a car, Bailey Motors here in town. Go check them out. I love them. By the way, plug for Bailey Motors. Like, they're the best people in the world. So we had a car through them, and it was in my mom's name, and I totaled it a couple times, and they'd fix it for me. And then this last time, though, was when I went to rehab and stuff. I went to them after I got out of rehab, and I started working. And I said, look, that car was in my mom's name, but she won't ever be able to pay you. What do I owe you? And I will start making payments. And it took me over 2 years, and I'd pay them like $100 a month until I paid that debt off.
How did that feel when you paid it off?
It was emotional. And they were so cool, like family business. And they said, like, you can come anytime you ever need a vehicle. We've been doing this for 20 years. Not only has no one ever paid off a car like that like this happened, but it wasn't even in your name,
Yeah.
And I was like, but it was my car. Like, I just didn't
a weight on me.
Yeah. I just didn't have any legal income to get the loan for it.
But you did it.
So I had that, and then my kid's mom, she worked for a psychiatrist in town, and they all knew me because we've been together for 7 years, and so they let me. I went in and interviewed with them, and so I was able to get a letter, and we sent it off. And the 2 days before my hearing down in Sacramento, the attorney called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna give you your license. You don't have to come down."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so it took me a long time.
That is a coveted item.
Long time to get that license.
Yeah. You must have known. I mean, you got the license, but did you know what it was going to turn into? Did you know it was going to be?
No idea.
Right?
No idea. So God has been, so I can't, so you mentioned the mission and how I give back. And so I mentor, and I work a lot with people that are trying to get their life together and trying to get sober. Mm-hmm. And if I never knew what was possible when I'm just trying to I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to not go back to living that lifestyle.
Right.
Like, that's what it was in the beginning. But today I look back and I try to tell these guys, like, as long as you do what you do in the beginning to get sober as you go along, it's unlimited. You have so much potential.
Right.
And so it's so cool to see it and just be a part of that and be involved in stuff in the community. Because like you, a lot of people have heard my story. And when I have a chance to share it and people that haven't heard it, they relate to it. And here's why. As maybe you weren't a heroin addict, maybe you weren't a meth, maybe you weren't an alcoholic, but I guarantee you know someone that was. And anyone in this room, anyone that you talk to knows someone that was affected by drugs and alcohol.
What would you do? And what would you say to someone who's like, man, I look at this person, it's been decades, like it's not going to change. Like, what would you say to someone who says that about a family member or
I say that is a very hard truth to accept. Because the reality is sobriety is a gift. What I've been given is a gift. A lot of people need it, a lot of people want it, and a lot of them don't get it.
Yeah. Where do you think the middle is between you having chosen it? And I know we give thanks to the Lord and but some part of us thinks he chose us. Where do you think you think it was like a meeting in the middle? What do you think?
Man, I don't know. I think he always had a plan for me because I know that because that's what the Bible says, right? Yeah. He had a plan for me. I think he had a plan.
We can mess up the plan.
We can mess it up. We have free will. I mean, I could go do some really things. Yeah. But to me, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was when I got in trouble. So I'm so grateful for the police, the law enforcement, the courts, the judges, the paroles, the probation. I'm so grateful for them. And I'm grateful for when I was going through that, there was more consequences. Because today it's not like that. And it's not the sheriff's fault, and it's not RPD's fault, and it's not even the judge's fault, right? I don't want to go any above that because I'm not going to get into it. We'll
be careful, but I know what you're saying.
So it's
taking consequences off the roster.
The consequences have been reduced quite a bit. And to me, that I think is a big thing because I needed the consequences to be bad enough to get me. Now, there's a lot of people that the consequences were worse than what I was looking at, and they still didn't change.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right?
You think people are hitting rock bottom, and you're like, that's going to do it.
And they don't.
And it doesn't do it. I think that discipline equals freedom, that saying that it's such a real thing, but we have such a hard time with it. And that discipline did create freedom for you, right? Or knowing either way you want to see it, like the fact that, this consequence is going to hurt, that made you also say I don't want to do that.
Well, and I think a lot of what we've seen in our community is the pivot from, hey, we used to have consequences, then you get referred to a program or referred to here, referred to there, and that would be like what would get people to change. As now, because there's less consequences, there's a lot of programs being proactive, and there's a lot of things to try to get people into rehab or off the streets or to do things because maybe the consequences aren't there, but they're trying to make this an attractive lifestyle to where, hey, we know where you're at, we see where you're at, we want to meet you where you're at, and we want to show you a better way. So I do think there's hope in that sense, even though the consequences might not be the same.
I know. Well, and it's interesting because I think where some of the not having consequences stuff comes from is people thinking that would be more loving. But actually, that wouldn't have been more loving in your case, right? I think we confuse some of those things. The consequences and discipline and all of that is loving.
It is.
Because you want good for this person if you're willing to do that for them, right? Yeah. And as a parent, so you have a kiddo? One kiddo.
I have a son, yeah.
Okay. How old's your kiddo?
He is 11, just turned 11.
Okay. I don't know much about that part of your life.
He's awesome. No, he's growing up so fast, and it's just cool to see, just to see where he's at. And so with how I grew up, he knows, I don't hold much back. And there's a video out on YouTube about my testimony, and he was in it when he was 4, running around crying and stuff. Anyway, so he knows a lot of my story, right?
Well, he probably knows he's not going to get away with much.
He doesn't, and I do spoil him a little bit though, because I knew what it was like growing up, right?
Right.
But what's cool is I get to teach him a lot of the tools I've been given, right? So one of the parts of getting sober was, and I talked about it, is now I look back at the probation and the principals and the cops and all these people, is they were always out to get me before.
Right.
But now I know they were just doing their job. And if I wouldn't have been breaking the law or doing what I was doing in the first place, they would have never been out to get me.
Oh, like you were the problem, not them?
I was a problem. Yes, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not a victim. A lot of people are victims. Everyone's out to get them, or the market, or the rates, or There's a lot of victims.
Or like we turn it around. I remember one of my daughters one time, and I was like, "Where did that mindset just come from?" We're driving somewhere, and a cop's behind us. She's like, "Mom, slow down. There's a cop." Like, "Mom, what? There's a cop." And I go, "Wait a minute. I'm not speeding, but the cop's not the bad guy. If I was speeding, that'd be my fault." And but I think our society flips the script on who's the bad guy. We don't want to be the bad guy. We want everybody else to be.
Exactly. And so with that though, so part of that then was going out and making amends, right? So like paying those people back. And what I was always taught is when I'm going to make amends, right? Mm-hmm. I say I was wrong, not I'm sorry. I've said I'm sorry my whole life. I'm sorry, right? But if I say, hey, I was wrong for the way I acted, I was wrong for the way I treated you, what can I do to make this right? And I go about it that way. So my son has heard that before. And he was doorbell ditching a couple months ago in my neighborhood, okay?
Okay.
And he got caught. And now everyone has ring cameras.
Everyone's got, kid.
I see that. So, and everyone's got ring cameras.
Yeah,
okay?
You're going to get caught.
So the guy comes up to my door and he was pretty cool about it, but he's like, "Hey, is this your son?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my son." And he's like, "He just doorbell ditched me 3 times in a row." And I was like, 3 times? I said, "Man, I did not teach this kid good." So when I finally talked to him, I said, 1, you don't do it in your own neighborhood. You don't go back to the same house, man. And you got to make sure they don't have a ring camera. Like, come on. Anyway, so it's cool. But we walked down there the next day. Mm-hmm. And he told the neighbor, he said, "Hey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Is there anything I can do?" So he knows now to say he was wrong, right? Right. He heard me on the phone with a client once, and she was not happy. Mm-hmm. And
that never happens in our business.
And he hung up the phone. He's like, "Was she in the wrong or were you in the wrong?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Well, it's a misunderstanding." By the way, she wrote me a card I got a card in the mail a couple days later. She's like, "I shouldn't have acted like that." But hey, we're super cool. I love her to death.
Yeah, it happens. It's an emotional business. It is.
And but now with the coaching and what we're doing in my life is I'm involved a little bit in the stock market and helping people try to accumulate wealth and teaching them the wealth accumulator and all this stuff. And
I love it.
And so my son gets to see all that. And so
totally different trajectory.
I've got him he's got his own little stock account on my stock account. He's got his own little thing to where he gets allowance.
He's got a completely different identity.
He can put some money in there and then I match it,
because you're awesome. But what when you say I'm wrong, the thing I wanted, I think that's, you're giving him a different identity and you're not wrapping something he did up in his identity. When you say I'm wrong, it means I did this thing, but it doesn't mean I am this person.
Yeah.
Right? So it's such a good
I was
tool.
wrong for this behavior.
That. Right. Yeah. So you're not wrapping everything up into it. And you're giving your son a whole different identity to walk forward. That has to feel, what does the Bible say? When you pass something down, you pass it down for tens of generations. But if you break it for the thousands of generations, right? And so what a cool thing to break it and see it change in your son and see it move forward past that.
And the Bible talks about, your rod and your staff comfort me, right? So they're talking about like a shepherd with a sheep, and you whack them when they get online, and you poke them to keep them going the right way. So it talks about that with your kids too. It talks about disciplining your kids. Yeah. And so I tell them that, and I also talk about I think a lot of the society is in whole. There's less discipline in households, less discipline for children. So as they grow older, they think they can get away with things, and then we have stuff like what's going on out there. So I think it starts in the home. Well,
and you're well aware of then we send them to school, right? And that's a whole nother environment that hopefully we've done enough. I don't know where your son goes to school, but then we send them out there and they're able to come home and they'll talk to us and tell us what they see and make it through that environment and make good choices.
Yes. Now he's only in 5th grade, so hopefully he's still nothing too crazy yet, but 6th grade was my year.
You remember what you told me you were doing?
Yeah, I was gonna say 6th grade was my year, so I'm keeping an eye on it.
What I was always told is because mine are 28 down to 17, and so I was always told when they're around 11 or 12, remember them, and then hold on till they're about 22. But actually, if I'm honest, I've really enjoyed all those years with my kids, and I think some of what you said, the transparency. I'll tell this story on here. One time my kids were like, Mom, have you ever smoked pot? And they were old enough, they were teenagers. And I'm like, I did. And they're like, you're supposed to say no. And I go, no, that would be a lie. And they're like, well, was it fun? It was. They're like, you're definitely supposed to say no to that. And I was like, well, that's not true. Because if I say no and you go try it and you're like, woo, this is kind of great. Who's a liar then? Right?
Yeah.
However, we have lineage things that we should watch out for it. And we have other reasons that I went, you know what? That was fun. That's kind of scary. No more. And I think too, the generation now is starting to they're starting to turn away from some of that stuff because they see the results,
Yeah.
But I think
just drive down Cypress.
Oh, it's scary as heck, right?
It is.
Yeah. And kids these days, if it's one try and that's it sometimes.
Yeah, the fentanyl now, it's crazy what's going on with fentanyl and all that stuff. And so I'm glad I got out of it. But I have Narcan in my car just in case.
Yeah.
So because
tell
you
me
never
about that a little. You give back at the mission, but you're on the board. It's a commitment.
I am. So a couple cool things. So first one to get his diploma, then I graduated, then first graduate to ever sit on the board for the mission.
That's amazing for the mission.
Yeah.
How long have you been on the board now?
3 years, almost 3 years, or right around there. It's been 3 years. So so it's a big privilege, honored to do it. I think it's amazing what they're doing in our community and what they're trying to sustain, as culture changes, as environments change, as the community changes, they're trying to give back to those that need, the most broken, right? Really, and so it's cool to be a part of that. And I'm definitely more in an advisory role. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, we're not in the day-to-day operations. What's funny is because I know all the staff, most of the staff because I went through the program, and then I still volunteer and help out around there.
Same staff. It's been a little.
There's been some turnover, but some of the staff's been there longer than me. I've actually been part of the mission longer than the director, but I pointed that out to him the other day too. I said, hey, I was here before you by a year. But it's cool because sometimes they'll come to me as a board member. They're like, hey man, is there anything you can do about this? And want me to try to
have a little say
at the board
skills
meetings.
On for them.
Yeah. And for the most part though, I try to say that's not really what our role is. But it is cool to be a part of it and to be able to get back and to be able to, because you go through these phases of you're in the you're a guest, then you're a programmer, then you're a graduate.
Yeah.
Now you're a board member, right? So when the staff talks to you because you do have a little bit different, people look at you a little differently. And I love that. It's cool. I love going back and just being one of the guys and volunteering and helping out. And I think it's cool to do it. So,
yeah. Is there still days you wake up and you're like, wow, does that still happen?
I think a lot of days. I try to wake up every morning early, go for a little jog, have some alone time with God and just say thank you.
Yeah.
My life is so good.
If you're like me, you don't ever let that feeling go away.
Yeah.
I tell them that all the time. Don't ever let me be ungrateful or miss out or forget to feel this amazed at my life. Right?
Well, and that's why I try to get up early and do it, because if I don't, once I'm out the door and it's 100 miles an hour, I won't look up till the sun goes down. Because I'm just so focused on work. And
that's what I see in you, by the way. So I'd visited this lending office in Tennessee when I thought about moving there a few years back. And there was a young man in the office named Chris. And it was funny because we went to a team meeting and I was like, well, this would be my office if we move here, right? And we left and my husband had come in and listened to, and he goes, that guy's going to kill it. And I'm like, I know, I see that too. And it's so funny because the very presence he has is what I've seen in you ever since I met you. And I'm like, he has that too. And there's a verse in the Bible that talks about the meek will inherit the earth. But have you ever heard what meek really means?
Strength under control.
Strength under control, right? Mm-hmm. And I think of people like you and Chris, and what I see is you're very whatever the coach tells me to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be out. You told me what you get up at 4. I'm going to run. I'm going to have my time with the Lord. I'm going to get that in before I go to the grind, but then I'm going to do what they tell me. And that's very rare to meet someone who does that.
So, and some of it I'm really good at, and some of it I'm hesitant to. So, like right now, we're doing a campaign where we're reaching out to business owners, like people like movers and shakers in the community, right? And that's like what our goal. So, anyone watching this, if you're a mover and shaker, call me.
You can call or call him.
Or I'm calling you. But there's a little bit of fear with that. Right? There's a little bit of fear when you're reaching out to whether it's business owners or attorneys or, who is CEOs or whatever that is, because you want to build relationships. Because me, it's all about the relationship. So of those 70 transactions we're going to close this year, it's a referral based business. I don't pay for leads. I'm not paying for, billboards and Zillow and all this other stuff. A lot of the people in our industry do. It's all word of mouth and referral and providing a great service and being a really great negotiator. And letting the people you serve, they want to help you. Like when you provide a great service and I'm real with a lot of people. I'll sit down with them and I'll be like, hey man, like just so you know, this is not who I've been my whole life, and you can cry with clients in your office sometimes and they just want to see you be successful. And I tell everybody like, look, my number one goal is to get you the best deal in the house. Okay. What I need from you is, as long as we get you a great deal in the house and we provide a great service, is at the end of it, I need you to leave me a 5-star review so it helps my internet presence. And then I need you to help me replace yourself, because technically I'm unemployed as soon as I close, because now I'm not working with you anymore.
I love that.
And I say it in kind of
I don't have the guts to say that to people.
I say it in kind of like a joking manner, because it's kind of true, but it's not true, right? Like we interview every day to see if people want to hire us.
Oh, I tell my friends in politics, like I'm constantly running for office and doing the job at the same time. Right?
So I love it. And people relate to that and they're like, oh my God, like I want to help you. I want to help that. And so it's really cool to have that.
Have you heard of the word avoda? So the word avoda is a Hebrew word and it means work, worship, and service. All in the same word. And it's that, right?
What is it? Avoda?
Avoda. And so it's
That's
a cool word.
I'm getting that like on my car.
I'm thinking of a
People
tattoo.
will be like, what is that?
What is going on? But I mean, that's what you're saying is like, this is my work. This is what I'm putting my passion into and my drive. But it's also for you a service to people. But you're constantly like, hey, I'm putting the Lord first in the morning and then I'm bringing that all into everything I do. You have no hesitation talking about it.
I share my testimony with everybody. Sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know if I could tell them. And I said, honestly, if someone doesn't want to work with me because of who I am, then I probably don't want to work with them.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We're not a fit. That's all right.
It's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
They'll come around eventually.
Hey, I was thinking earlier, is there one thing you'd say to anyone, the mission ends up with like naysayers and stuff. You know, people have things to say. Is there like one thing you'd say to people if they have like a negative outlook at the mission, what they do?
Yeah, I would say go do a tour. Contact the front office, do a tour, and see all the services they provide and what they actually do for the community. Because it's what do we see? What do we think of when we see the mission, right? Is we see the people walking around, talking to themselves, causing crimes, doing all this stuff. Like that's the homeless community. That's what the most of Reading sees as homelessness. And that is a very small percentage of what the people that are actually struggling and what's actually happening at the mission. And the truth is most of those people that we're seeing on the streets don't want the help and refuse to go to the mission, because the mission would help them. But so I think it would be just go take a tour, see what they actually do.
Right.
And then make a decision.
Yeah. So. No, that makes sense, because if they're their mission, they want help. They're there making a choice to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they were sent there like I was, so I didn't really want to be there, but I was sent.
Is it 18 months now?
No, now you can do now you can do shortened. I don't know. I think 12 months is the standard, but if you've gone through the program before and like maybe you went through relapse or something and you're trying to get back on your feet, then they have like a 6 month to just so you're not there for the full time. So they can modify.
Glad that they were excessive with you, 18 months. When you look
I probably needed it, but the cool thing was while I was there, like after 10 months, they let me go back to work. I was able to go to DUI school, finish all my DI. Like I took advantage of everything they had to offer. Like I was on probation in 5 counties when I went into the mission.
Yeah.
And by the time I got done, like I had gone to every single county. I had gotten all my bail, bench warrants cleared and set up payment plans. And so I think they have what's available if you want to clean up all the wreckage. So it's cool.
What's Adam Schwartz's 5-year goal?
It changes every year. So I do 5-year goals every year, and it always changes a little bit, and I think one of my biggest things now is I always want to try to get better, not bigger. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people in our industry, they always want to get bigger. It's always bigger, bigger, bigger. I want to do bigger office, bigger this, more clients this. And my focus this year is just better. Mm-hmm. I want to serve better. Mm-hmm. I want to be a better leader. Mm-hmm. I want to be better to my staff. Yeah. I want to be better to my family.
Yeah.
I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better boyfriend. I've got a girlfriend who's amazing and got 2 kids. And so I want to be better in those areas.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like over 5 years is if you get better, you naturally get bigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to do it in a way to where it's a service mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to serve people at a really high level. I want to take care of them. And I would love to get to a place to where I'm not working 60 hours a week, because right now it's 55 to 60, sometimes a little more during the busy time of year. I'd love to be able to do 45 to 50.
Yeah.
But I love
Do you think you'll be able to do that? I think sometimes in our industry, it's like we get and somebody asked you this that Thursday was like, did you take that addiction and pour it into this? A little bit. It's a very almost addicting industry, if we're a little bit honest, right? So I always wonder, will you be able to do that? Let go and take that 15 to 20 hour, take the pedal off,
So what I've found for me is the times that I'm trying to work a little less are nights and weekends. Mm-hmm. Cause I can go in from 8 to 8 Monday through Friday all week long. It doesn't really bug me, Yeah. But I'm trying to get out of working so late so many nights, and I'm trying to get out of working all the weekends. Now, what I've found is because I have a staff and they're amazing. I have a couple of team members who I'm so grateful for the team I have right now.
That's awesome.
And she covers one of the gals. She covers helps cover my open houses and showings on nights and weekends and stuff. And so I'm really grateful for her. But what I've also noticed is I'm the main guy. And so there's something for me, even though technically she could go out.
I'm friends with Erin Resner, and she always says, in your business, you're the cup of coffee, right? Yeah. You're the guy. That's your face. Yeah.
And so she can go out and help with showings and do all this stuff. But the reality is I still want my clients to feel like they're my client. Mm-hmm. And so I'm still out there showing, and now I'm a little more specific on time and doing this and that because I have her on staff to help cover that. And so it's like, hey, we'll go out a couple times together. We'll look at some houses. If you want to look at, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she's going to cover me those, but I still work a couple nights a week. And it's still a work in progress. I don't know. But my goal would be, get off track.
No, it's good. I get it.
Rabbit trail. Get down to 45 to 50 hours a week. One of the coolest things I think would be able to do, be able to go on a vacation for even just 5 days.
And actually
5 to 7 days and not have to be on my phone. Because right now, and this is what it's been for the last 7 years, is it always happens. Every time I get to go on vacation, I always get busy.
That's when everybody shows up.
I always get busy. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I love it. A part of me loves it.
But you also go on the vacation, and then you see everybody on the vacation, and you're at your desk. And you're grateful, but you're like, I want to be out there.
I want to be able to go on a vacation, not take my laptop.
Yes.
Or not have to use it, but I've gotten better over the years.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. So that's the 5-year goal. Grow the team a little bit, but get better. More time with my kid, more time with my girlfriend and her kids, go on a couple of vacations. I grew up in South Dakota. You know where they have really good fireworks?
Is it South Dakota?
South Dakota. So we're trying to go back there for 4th of July this year. And so it'd be cool to be able to go back for a week or something and just enjoy and unplug and have the team can handle it.
Our faith comes into effect with that, right, too? It's like having faith and being like, okay, God, I'm going to let go. So you've come pretty far. I'm pretty sure you can get there.
I think so. A trip to Europe would be cool. 2 weeks in Europe. That's on the 5-year goal.
It's on the 5-year goal. All right. I want to see those photos. Thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you so much. That was fun. I've done... Okay. Yeah, so you did amazing, and thank you. I'm grateful that you asked me to come on.
I'm glad you're in our community. I'm so happy.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.